Thank you everyone for joining for the next half hour or so while I walk through a demo of the Digital Scholar Lab. And to give you a sense of my background, I trained as an Egyptologist, so I have a PhD in Egyptian art history. And more recently, I have been focusing on Nile travel journals from the 19th century, as well as working for Gale as a digital humanities specialist. I'm also an affiliate faculty member at the University of Washington, and also at the University of Maryland Global Campus. But at UW in Seattle, I run a student internship program, which has been going now for nearly a decade. And we work collaboratively on the Nile travel journals, transcribing them, encoding them in TEI, creating mapping visualizations, social network analyses, etc. And then I've also taught multiple iterations of introductory courses in digital humanities, both for Near Eastern languages and civilizations, which is my home department, as well as informatics. And I'm currently teaching a cohort of MLIS students. Today, though, I want to talk about Gale's Digital Scholar Lab. And what you'll be seeing as I move through the live demo includes some of these highlights of the cloud-based Digital Scholar Lab research environment. And this includes access to a wide variety of texts from Gale primary source collections, which are based on your institute's Gale holdings. You also have the ability to build custom curated content sets from these collections, access to powerful text mining tools directly linked to the dataset curation process. We also have an integrated learning center, which I'll show you with sample projects, curricula, materials, etc. We have the ability to clean OCR text within the lab itself, as well as organize your research into one space. And then finally, the ability to upload your own plain text files to work with in the platform. And then also to export not only the statistical data and visualization outputs from your analysis, but also the OCR of up to 5,000 Gale primary source documents in your content sets as well. So to give you a sense of the tools that I'll be showing you today, there are 6 analysis methods currently in the lab, which are based on open source libraries or lexicons. This provides a snapshot of some of the outputs that you'd receive from each of the integrated tools. And we selected these tools in consultation with our beta testing partners to best meet their research and teaching needs. And the platform has been available since September 2018, and we've made considerable improvements and enhancements in the 2+ years since it was first released. So we can divide the analysis methods into quantitative and qualitative methods. So the quantitative methods, which you can see along the top here, are essentially numerical counts of different features or attributes within a content set. So n-grams, for example, identifies word counts across a content set, while parts of speech gives you a count of the different parts of speech used by any given author, like adjectives, adverbs, nouns, etc. On the other hand, the qualitative analysis methods rely on the user for interpretation. And that means that the scholar has to make an educated analysis of the outputs. They aren't just simply counting terms or entities, but they do require something of a subjective interpretation of the output in order to gain insights. Both of these analysis types, both quantitative and qualitative, are useful, and they often work in tandem in any given project. So with that, I'm going to move across to the Digital Scholar Lab, and I'll reshare. So hopefully you can now see the login screen for the lab. And you would reach this screen via institutional database authentication. Usually the lab is listed among the institution's databases. And then we have a secondary login And at the moment, we can sign in with Google and Microsoft credentials. And within the last 6 weeks or so, we've added the ability to sign in with shibboleth as well. So that's a third way that you can access the lab. And once you're signed in, you'll see that, and hopefully this is not going to be very slow. We'll just wait for it to finish signing in. And once we get to the screen, you'll see that you're able to see the workflow in the lab. So the build, clean, analyze workflow. Okay, I must stop being impatient. And you'll see here, we have the workflow in the lab summarized. So build, clean, analyze. And this implies that the workflow is somewhat linear in nature, but of course it's actually not. It's very much iterative. You may find that you clean your text, you run an analysis, you decide that you're not happy with your analysis results, and so you return to re-clean, and you keep going through that process until you're happy with the results that you have generated. We have information on this homepage which allows the user to situate themselves within the lab. So contextual videos in this central column which place the lab within the broader context of both the library and the DH ecosystem. You can learn about the analyses that you can run in the lab. We have some sample projects, and then we have our learning center as well. And if I click into the learning center, you'll see that it's an excellent place for those new to the field of digital humanities to start. And I do apologize for my very slow internet. It seems to be part and parcel of the Zoom experience at the moment. Here we go. Okay. So the Learning Center contains contextual information for each stage of the process, beginning with search strategies to build a content set, understanding the effects of some of the search criteria you may select. We have information about uploading documents. I mentioned that one of our recent enhancements in the middle of the last year was to allow users to upload plain text documents to TextMine within the platform. You can upload up to 10 megabytes of plain text documents at the moment, and you can either create a new content set from those uploaded documents, or you can merge them with an existing content set created with Gale primary sources in the platform. We have information about the clean configurations, the different tools you can select. And then I mentioned the sample projects again. And as I'm showing you the Learning Center, you'll notice that there's a range of different ways you can engage and learn. So we have brief videos about each facet of the platform, the process. We also have written documentation as well as various screenshots as well. In terms of the sample projects, the intent was to give users the ability to essentially experiment with the workflow of a constructed project. And you are able to click Get a Copy, and it will copy the entire content set, the clean configurations to your machine, to your workspace. We have the research questions along with new questions that were generated as the researcher began working with the content set, and then the process that the researcher followed along with the analysis results and the interpretation of those results as well. So for those new to the platform, it's really an excellent place to start to get oriented. Today, I'm going to go straight into build, which is where the process of creating a content set begins. And you can see that we have the ability to either search within Gale primary sources or to upload content sets. You can choose from your local machine, or we have a text entry box as well here. So you can actually go ahead and paste in plain text and then add appropriate metadata. It is important to add metadata to plain text material that you're adding to the lab, because many of the analysis tools rely on the metadata in order to generate the visualization outputs. For example, parts of speech relies on the author name field in order to generate the output. And once you've uploaded your text, you can then go in and manage them from this screen. So these are a variety of letters from 19th century Egypt and early 20th century Egypt that I've been working on. So I've uploaded them here. I'm beginning to clean them. You can also add, remove letters from here. If you have a big selection of material that you wanted to bulk add metadata to, we have the ability to download a form to your local machine. You can go ahead and complete the form and then re-upload it. It's a CSV form there. So that's a brief overview of uploading plain text documents. For now, I'm going to do an advanced search, and unsurprisingly, I'm going to look for archaeology as a keyword, and I'm going to select the archive, the Illustrated London News, which has, Gale has the complete run from 1842 to 2003, and I'll go ahead and click search. And then the next screen, you can see that I have around 1,400 documents, and this is where the process of curation begins. So we can begin to further limit the search from the left-hand column by various ways, publication dates, title, etc. We have some high-level metadata in the right-hand column about each individual document, archive, source library, content type, etc. And then in the middle, we have details about each individual document. So the title, an OCR snippet, and then we have the OCR confidence level called out. And in this case, the OCR confidence is 94%, and it's essentially the machine's confidence in the OCR text that is generated. And I'm always mindful of a number of factors that influence OCR confidence, including documents which are image heavy. They may be scanned from older microforms, microfiches, or they may have been scanned with an older version of ABBY. So I tend to use OCR confidence more as a guideline for curation than a definitive way of searching through my results. But you can click into the individual documents and you get a side-by-side view of the primary source material. Here you can see the article called out with the term archaeology highlighted, and then the OCR output on the right-hand side, along with the full source citation. We can download either the original document to a local machine, or the original document and the OCR text. And this is on a document by document basis, and I'll show you momentarily where you can bulk download OCR text to your local machine. For now, we'll assume that I'm happy with the results of my search, and I want to add all of this material to a new content set. So I can create a new content set here, but I've got a content set underway, and it is my Illustrated London News archaeology content set. And you can see that all of these documents have been added to that set. And I went on to continue searching and curating, and I'll show you what I ended up with, which is still a work in progress. So to revisit work that you've done already, you go up to My Content Sets, And this is the personalized workbench environment that I referenced. And you can see these are all the content sets that I have been building over time. And here is my Illustrated London News archaeology set, which I'll click into. And my content sets area for this, this data set gives an overview of the archives, source libraries, content type, etc. It has the documents in the content set, the analyses that I've run, but then the search history as well. So this is that original search history that I just showed you with the keyword archaeology limited to the ILN with the 1400 documents. I went on to then search for excavations, Nineveh, Assyria, Layard, who was one of the Mesopotamian archaeologists, and you can see that I kept adding to my content set, and then this is what I've ended up with. At this point, though, before moving on to begin analyzing, I would want to think about how I want to clean the OCR text. And the reason that we clean OCR text essentially is because if we send OCR into an analysis tool, which is full of OCR errors, maybe words that we're not interested in including in our analysis, chances are that our analysis results won't be particularly meaningful. So we provide the functionality to begin the process of cleaning in the lab. So the default cleaning configuration will remove all tabs, line breaks, and it will reduce, it will normalize white space essentially. And then it also removes all non-body content, which is listed out here. You can begin to get fairly granular in the choices that you're making. So we have a list of special characters that you might want to remove, punctuation as well. We also include a stop word list, which is essentially a list of the most common words in the English language in this case that perhaps you're not interested in including in an analysis. We have the ability to choose a starter list from multiple languages here to apply to an analysis configuration. So one hack that I've developed is that I will run an n-grams analysis before I even start thinking about my clean configuration. And I choose to run a unigram, so a single word or a term frequency analysis. And it will return the most common words in my corpus of documents. And often those words are OCR errors. And so I will download the results of that term frequency to my local machine. It downloads as a CSV. And then I copy and paste those common errors into my stop word list. And this is what it ends up looking like. So you can see I've got my ILN archaeology n-grams list here. So if we change to that cleaning configuration, you can see that I've copied and pasted all of these OCR errors into the list, including some numerals, various words which I'm not interested in analyzing. So that's a fairly swift way to identify some of the words that maybe you want to exclude. I also use the replace this with this fairly frequently. This is good for replacing one phrase with another phrase, as well as individual words as well. But for now, we'll assume that I'm happy with the clean configuration that I've put together, and that I'm ready to go forward to analysis. And what I should mention, and I haven't, is that it's possible to test the configuration on a subset of your content set. You can see here that you can choose to clean just 10 documents, and then you would download the 10 documents to your local machine. It downloads as a zip file, 10 cleaned, the same 10 unclean documents, so that you can do a side-by-side comparison just to check that you're happy with the output before you go ahead and apply the clean configuration to the entirety of the content set. So that's the test configuration button up here. So now let's go and take a look at analyze. So you can see here that I've clicked through to analyze along the top menu bar. I'm in my Illustrated London News archaeology content set, and I've already run 5 of the 6 tools which are listed here. You can see that the runs are completed and I can click into the results. If I wanted to add another tool to this content set, or indeed any content set, then I click the Add Tool button, and it will take me through to the list of tools available. Also has a high-level definition of the tools. In each case, you can click Learn More, and it will take you out to the developer's website. In this case, named entity recognition is based on Spacy's NER model, and you can look at the various entities that the algorithm uses, how it uses them. And this is important. You know, we didn't want to black box any of the algorithms running in the background. This is really important for scholars to talk about their research results, for reproducibility of analysis as well. So in each case, you can click out and find out more information about how the tool was built. We also have the expected outputs for each tool as well. If we go back to analyze, I'm going to show you briefly three of the tools, the outputs for 3 of the tools. And I'll talk about named entity recognition, sentiment analysis, and topic modeling. So we can click through and take a look at the output for NER. This is what it looks like. I have run this on my the archaeology content set. I've also applied the clean configuration, which you can see listed here, to the analysis, and you can see that it's possible to choose a variety of clean configurations to apply. So these are all the entities which are returned, along with the words, the top 200 entities listed out here, and the documents that they appear in. So say I wanted to take a look at cultural groups. I could limit just by cultural groups. They're all listed here. Let's take a look, say, at Mycenaean cultural group. We can click into it and see that we have 32 documents which contain this information. They're listed here, and we can actually click into that document to take a closer look at the original information and just check that it's relevant. We can do a little bit of close reading from this page, and if necessary, we can begin to split out this information and add it to a new content set, so we can continue to construct as we go. And then we have sentiment analysis, which is visualized over time. In this case, it's 1842 to the mid-90s, which is the run of the Illustrated London News. Sentiment analysis is based on the Affin lexicon. You can see in most cases, sentiment is considered positive in nature with a few negative spikes. You can click in and get a sense of the document which is generating this negative sentiment. In this case, it's archaeological spoils of war. And you can go through to take a look at the original document again. You can download the raw data as a CSV or JSON, so you can look at the raw sentiment scores and the words which generated that sentiment. And you can download the visualization in multiple formats too, which researchers are welcome to take outside of the lab and use for embedding in publication or websites, etc. So that's a brief look at sentiment analysis. We have topic modeling as well, which is based on Mallet, which is probably one of the most popular tools for topic modeling used by digital humanists today. In this case, the default for topic modeling is 10 topics with 10 words per topic, and the algorithm will iterate through 1,000 times. In this case, I've increased the topics to 30 with 20 topics per words, and I've also applied my clean configuration. And these are my analysis results. When they're first generated, this would be labeled topic 0, this would be labeled topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, etc. And as I mentioned in the slide, this is where the qualitative work comes into play, because the researcher would look at the terms which have been generated and then decide what the topic name should be. So in this case, unsurprisingly, I've decided that the link is Egypt. So I've changed topic 3 to Egypt. And I've done the same for all 30 terms. And these renamings trickle down through any analysis visualizations which are generated, which might include some of these topic measures. So this is the topic comparison by tokens, which measures the number of words from the content set assigned to each topic. So here is my Egypt topic, which has roughly 21,000 words assigned to it. Another way that we can look at topic modeling is the topic proportion by document, which is listed here. So we have the individual documents listed out, and then the relative mentions of the particular themes. So here we've got 4% mention of Egypt. The initial display is going to show 15 documents, but it's possible to customize this. Up to 50 documents can be displayed, and you can choose what these documents actually are. A final thing I will mention, because I'm at time, is the download feature. I mentioned that I would show you how to bulk download documents. So we can go through to the My Content Sets area into the Illustrated London News content set. And you can see that we have the option to download either the content set, and you can download up to 5,000 documents and choose to apply or not apply a cleaning configuration. Content sets can be up to 10,000 documents in size. So if you want to download, from that larger content set, what you would end up with is a randomized sample of 5,000 documents. But for this document, for this content set, I would actually get all 2,512 documents of OCR text to my local machine, and then I'm free to go and clean those or analyze them outside of the lab. And then you can also download the content set metadata in its entirety for up to 10,000 documents. This downloads as a CSV file, and this is useful, say, for publication, place of publication, if you wanted to begin doing some mapping analysis of your content set. You could download the CSV and perhaps work with some external mapping tools. And this is linked to the Gale document number as well, so you can begin to make connections that way. And I will just finish by showing you, if you're interested in reading a little more, this is a blog post that I wrote that was published yesterday, actually, just about creating an export workflow for the content set that I've just shown you. And what I did was export the NER and topic modeling outputs. This is what the export looks like. I started to clean it outside of the lab. I discovered that Excel actually doesn't like dates prior to 1900. There's a mismatch in the formatting. So it talks through how I fixed that and cleaned it in my Excel. And ultimately how I visualize the information using Tableau. So I used a different visualization engine in this case. So I will pop that in the chat if you wanted to read through that. But with that, I will finish up my presentation. and ask if there are any questions that you'd like me to answer.
Thank you, Sarah. We do have a question. I know we're over, so if people have to
Yeah.
leave, that's fine. But this is a great question, which is in the cleaning stage.
Mm-hmm.
Can you compare text versions for commonalities and differences, say whole paragraphs?
Yeah, that's a great question. And at the moment, we don't have that functionality. I will say that a workaround is probably to export the content set and perhaps to use a platform like Lexos to make that comparison. Lexos is an open source tool from Wheaton College. And then you can re-upload the material into the Digital Scholar Lab. We are doing a second round of enhancements, which will come live the middle of this year, and cleaning is on our hit list of tools that we want to enhance. So great question, thank you.
So thank you so much. For the people that are either watching now or watching this recording later, you can always reach out to your library if you have additional questions as well. And oh, the person also wanted to know, how do you spell Lexis that you mentioned, to make sure that
Lexos.
okay, good, so that it's finding the exact right platform.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope everyone can take advantage of this. I've spent some time in it. It's a really powerful platform, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of Love Data Week.